You see that. Look at that. That's amazing.
That's not possible. That is not possible.
There is some kind of intelligence operating here.
And you're not allowed to talk about it.
I'm here with George Knapp of KLAS, and you're the guy who put Area 51 on the map pretty much with your research there. And now this documentary is coming out. What are your feelings about that?
Well, it's very satisfying because I started working on the Skinwalker Ranch as a documentary project long before there was a book project in mind, and we had to stop it. And then along the way, continued to collect footage and didn't really know if it would ever see the light of day. And finally, 18 years later, it did.
A lot of this documentary is footage you were putting together because you wanted to do a documentary, but you couldn't get that footage out. Why couldn't you back then, and why can you now?
It was Mr. Bigelow. He had given me the permission to be on the ranch. They thought it might be useful to tell the story, and then they changed their minds. They were worried that the publicity might cause it to become like sort of the Area 51, be overrun by UFO enthusiasts, and in fact that turned out to be true. So he stopped, asked me to kill the documentary project, but then gave me the okay to write about it for some newspaper articles. That later became a book that he also authorized, and I think he probably regrets it because, exactly what he predicted has happened. The place is overrun every week with people trespassing and vandalizing the property, and it's created a lot of problems.
Is the government involvement? Is that this funding, a lot of the funding for the investigation of this ranch came from the government? I mean, it feels like that story hasn't gotten out or somehow has not sunk in.
Yeah, it's amazing that, the New York Times put out the story in December of last year about ATIP and that program, and they sort of conflated some of the facts. The $22 million that they allege was that funded ATIP actually went to OSAP, the program that basically funded BASS, that funded a study of Skinwalker Ranch and funded a much broader discussion, much broader than just UFOs, what we'd call paranormal activity. So I hope to clarify that there wasn't just one Pentagon program, there were two. Now, at the end of OSAP, when the money was pulled away from the BASS organization, what was left of there was a lot of interaction between those two programs, and it sort of morphed into what we now know as ATIP, but there was always a connection between two studies, not just one. The UFO mystery is not just about flying saucers and things in the sky. It's about a lot more different kinds of phenomena that happen in association with it, that there is some kind of a connection between these different stovepipes of paranormal activity, and I hope that people will start thinking of it in that way. We are on the eve of something momentous.
Well, I needed the fingers to be pointing toward Skinwalker Ranch.